Hi everyone, my name is Marcin and welcome in this quick video course on baby photography or even newborn photography, because the methods and techniques I'm showing you in this course works very well on newborn photography as well. As you can see, I prepared this little child retouch, and in this course I'm going to show you all the great stuff you need to know to improve the child images. As you can see, that was the image I started with, and that was the image I ended up with. So let's start this course. Enough talking, and I'm going to show you everything great you need to know to do great child retouch. So let's start from the beginning. We're going to open our image, and I'm going to use JPEG image, but if you have raw image, the process will be actually pretty much the same. Actually, it's going to be exactly the same. And I have this nice little image here, and if you have JPEG image, do the same as me. After you find your image in Bridge, open in Camera Raw, and here we go. So right now we are in Camera Raw. And what I'm doing in Camera Raw, I'm going to reset settings at first. Okay, if you have raw image, process will be exactly the same. What I'm doing, I'm not changing the temperature much or anything like this. And the reason why, of course, if your temperature is wrong, you can fix this. If it's too cold, you can bring up some temperature. If it's too yellowish, you can take down some temperature. However, my point is I prefer to work with Photoshop, so I try to do not many things in camera when I'm doing this. And the most important thing is I usually bring up some clarity. Around 25 the value is okay, and usually works pretty much fine for me. I'm usually bring just a little bit of contrast if there's not that much contrast on the image, and we can try with magenta. I usually bring up maybe 3 points of magenta. So as you can see, I'm not doing really much in Camera Raw, but when we are ready, I'm just going to press open image, and now my image will be in Photoshop. So let's have a look what we have here. We have very nice quality. However, when we zoom this in, we can notice that we don't have actually such a perfect and nice tones of this image. So we have to fix this for sure. There's a lot of controversy about retouching the child images. However, I'm not going to retouch this. I'm not going to make this skin look fake, because I can see a lot of photographers who has really fake skin. They do really fake horrible skin, and they actually create the dolls instead of children. I want to keep this as a child. I want to have really nice tones, so I'm just going to work on this not such a beautiful areas, and that would be all what I'm going to do with the skin. So I'm going to use frequency separation technique, and if you didn't hear about technique, I'm going to explain you very quick how does it work, so you will be sure what you are doing on your image when you retouch this. Frequency separation technique is a technique when we go into separate the two different information from the image. We go into split the image for two frequencies. One frequency will be low frequency layer, and the other layer will be high frequency layer. And usually frequencies are in many areas of life, and in this case, when we do images, on the image, low frequencies are responsible for the tones, so for the thing I want to really work with on this image, and high frequency are responsible for detail. So, but what's the most important? I want to fix the tones of this image, so I'm going to work with low frequency layer. But as I know, my talking doesn't really matter much, so I'm going to show you how does it looks like. As I said, we have to split this image for two separate layers. So I'm going to duplicate this layer twice, Control or Command J, and then once again Control Command J, and I'm going to rename this. This layer will be low frequency, and I'm going to say it's colors or tones, so we will know what we are doing. And this layer, I'm sorry, will be high frequency layer. Texture. So what we have to do, as we have this low frequency layer, we have to make this look alright. So as I said before, it's colors and tones. So I'm going to filter, blur, and Gaussian blur. And what we have to do, we have to blur out this image to the point when we cannot see the details of the image, when we cannot see the texture of the skin, but we still can see the shape of the skin. So when you pull it up, don't look at my radius, but look at your picture when you are doing this. And when you find the point, when you actually losing the details, but you still can see the main shape, that's the point where we can stop. And I think I will be around 50 pixels, 15, I'm sorry, in my case will be alright. So now I'm going to high frequency, which is texture, and what I'm going to do is image, apply image, and right now as a source over here, because we have to get the information from the previous layer, so into this layer will stay only information about the texture. So in these two layers we will have different kind of information. So the layer here will be low frequency, and blending, it's 8-bit image, will be subtract. If it's a 16-bit image, you have to know that in 16-bit image will be different settings over here. I'm going to explain you this, but 8-bit image is blending subtract, scale 2, offset 128. However, when we have 16-bit image, so if we have raw image, blending will be add, scale 2, and offset 0, and here will be invert. So I'm going to press OK, and actually if you worried about this, don't worry about this. That's the value which we cannot change. That's the value which always exists the same, scale 2, offset 128. It's like this, and actually no one is going to explain why. So right now I'm going to change blending mode from normal to linear light, and I'm going to put these two layers into the group, Control or Command G, and I'm going to call this group FS as a frequency separation. And let's have a look. As you can see, our image is not changing when we turn off visibility on this group. We have our original image, but when we turn it on, it's still the same. Why is it like this? As I said before, in frequency separation, we just split the information of our original image, and we get two different layers. One layer contains the information about tones, colors, the other about texture. So these two layers contains exactly the same information which our original background layer. It's exactly the same information, but we split them into the two layers. And what I'm going to do now, let's have a look. I'm going to duplicate this low frequency layer, Control or Command J to duplicate this. That's our copy. So I'm not going to mess up on this original layer. And I'm going to give you very basic step. When you go to this copy layer, and what I'm going to do on this layer, I'm just going to choose lasso tool and then select area like this on the skin, press Q, and we can see if our edges are not too soft or not too strong. So it's quite soft, so it's too much for me. I'm going to change feather to a bit lower, maybe around 20 something. Let's have a look. Q. Now it's a bit too soft, so more than 30 and it will be alright now. So I have pretty much soft edges right now. And what I'm going to do, I select the areas where the tones are not exactly as we want this. Then I'm going to go to Gaussian blur, Gaussian blur, and I'm going to bring up some radius. This image is quite a big size, so I think around 30 will be okay, but we cannot go too far because we're going to get the gray color of the skin. Too low, we're not doing anything. So bring up and look at the image where we get in, when we get in really nice tones, and I think it's around this. Press OK, and let's have a look right now. As you can see, our tones are much better right now, and what's the most important, we not losing the skin texture. We just take care about this area over here. So I'm going to do the same on the few more areas, just to even out the tones. Now we can copy this, so Control Command F, just to copy. We don't have to do this everywhere, don't forget it's a child, so child has usually very nice skin. And don't go close to the edges, because if we go too close, we're just going to destroy the texture, or actually we're going to destroy the tones, not texture. Okay, so I believe now it's looking much better. We don't need to do more. However, we still have some of the little spots that needs to be fixed. I'm not going to fix these veins because actually it looks quite adorable. So we don't want to remove this, right? Because it's going to look fake. We don't want to make at all. But I'm going to my high frequency there. And I'm going to choose Clone Stamp tool. And in this case, I'm going to use soft brush. And the reason why I'm using soft brush is because on the mature skin, I wouldn't use this, but it's a child skin, very soft, so nothing will happen if the skin might be a little blurred, but it will work a bit more natural. So using this with flow and opacity at 100%, I'm just going to cover the little spots I had here. Just a few of these spots and our skin is going to look even better. And maybe a little bit here. Here's, we got this not really great looking skin, have a look. So we will fix this for sure a bit later. However, we can try with patch tool if we have something like this. This tool works really great. We can select the area we want and take the stamp from the other area. As you can see, this looks a bit better right now and really natural. This is fantastic tool, so I'm going to do the same over here. And this area looks so much better right now, a bit more. Yeah, so we fixed this using patch tool, really nice. I can work maybe a bit more over here. So yeah, it looks really nice. The thing is, if you don't like these veins, I was telling you something before, but there is a chance you can remove this on this high frequency layer, and you can remove this using clone stamp tool. Very soft. But as I said, I just don't want to do this because I don't like if the image going to look too fake, and I think these veins looks really nice, so I'm going to keep this. But of course you can do this if you want. The next step is we are going to create empty layer between this low frequency and high frequency layer. I'm going to choose a brush. We can press B on our keyboard or just find brush over here, and very soft flow. Very soft flow is going to help me build up the effect, so it's not going to be really strong. I'm going to set this maybe around 5%, and I'm going to take a clone from this area, from the hair, make this brush bigger. It's a very soft brush, and just paint over just a little bit to make a bit stronger eyebrows. So it's very simple step. As you can see, we are going to see the difference now. Let's have a look. It's not big difference, but it looks a little bit better. I'm going to paint a little bit more on this area. So let's have a look right now. Yes, and it looks very, very strong now. Very nice eyebrows. So right now, as we finish this simple step, let's take care about the colors. I'm going to not retouch more than this because it's going to look fake. So we are done with the skin. And now is the question how to create really fantastic background color of the image. So we have to see which color we have. I really highly recommend you to photography. Strong colors like blue, red color, and this hat, it would be better actually if we would have something contrasting to the background. So it was photographer mistake, I would say, but I recommend you to use something in contrast. So we have blue background, very nice, maybe a little bit different than background the hat. But let's create new layer, and I'm going to fill this layer with some nice blue color. So let's find something like this. I really like this blue, and now I'm going to change blending mode to color. It's not this color I really want, but let's change opacity first, maybe around 23. So I think I need color which has a bit more life in this. Maybe a bit darken. Yeah, it looks very nice. Don't put too much, but we changed the colors of our model. So I'm going to paint around this model. I'm going to choose my layer mask, flow 100. I'm going to start with soft brush 2, and of course with color black, like this, and I'm just going to paint around my model to bring up his, I believe it's his, as it's color blue, it's a boy, so bring up his natural colors. So just do this carefully. We can select all person using quick mask, for example, so it would be easier, but my object is very well visible, so there's no need to do this. Just going to paint over like this. So right now we are done, and our little child has the natural colors once again, as you can see, and our background looks much better. But actually we can improve this background even more. When I go to the hue saturation, the thing we have to do to hit the channel blues, change the channel into blues, and find the blues area we have over here. When I bring up the saturation, what is happening here, as you can see, we can see this very well when we change the color in hue, but I don't need this. It's a very well visible blue color, so I'm going to hit this as a 0. And when we're going to bring up saturation, as you can see, only blue areas are getting affected by this. So of course I'm not going to set at 100%, but just something like this. It's catch a little bit here. What if I'm going to make the blue area a bit smaller? Let me do this. So I'm going to set the saturation around 20, let's say. And let's have a look at our image right now. As you can see, it improved our background even more. We have really nice colors. So I believe the background is now really ready. So we can move on. And I'm going to create really nice vignette right now. So after we did our background, you have to say it looks so much better. It's a time for dodging and burning. I'm just going to put this into the group, Ctrl+Command+G, and I'm going to call this background. So as you can see, it was a very simple step to adjust the background using saturation and using the color, and we completely change the impression. It has so much more life in this right now. And how I'm doing dodging and burning, I'm going to create 2 curve layers, and one curve layer will be as a dodge, so I'm going to bring this down, and second curve layer will be for dodge. Actually, this one will be for dodge, the previous one will be for burn. So that will be burn. And this one will be dodge layer. So I have 2 layers right now, and we have to invert the layer mask. So press Ctrl+Command+I, once again, Ctrl+Command+I. So we inverted the colors, and I'm going to put this to the group, and it will be dodge and burn once again. So I'm going to start with dodging. Let's zoom this image to the face of the child. I'm going to choose a brush, the color white, because we're going to paint with white color on this layer, and I'm going to set the flow on at 3%. As I said before, it will help me to build up the effect slowly. So let's have a look. When I paint over here, it's getting slowly brighten, and it's fantastic tool. Actually, using curves is the best. I'm not using dodge burn tool. It's actually useless for me. So the best way to use this, use just curves and do dodging and burning by curves. I'm going to paint with dodging here. So when we paint over here, it makes the shape of the face looks a bit nicer. So both eyes, it's getting to push some life into this child. Over here on the nose, so be really careful when you're doing this, but doing this on the child is not that difficult. And when we have some of the bad spots, right, using dodging, we can very simply remove this. If we missed something before, as you can see, when we brighten this up, we remove the bad things, and this child looks even cuter than before. So a little bit here on the arms. Very simple steps, just a few steps, and the difference is huge, you have to say. And when we finish with dodging, it will be very simple, just around the face to put some life. I'm going to the burn layer, and I'm going to do the same with the burn, but we have to be a bit more careful. We just do the contours. So the point is, using burn, we do the contours. We can paint a little bit on the eyebrows as well, and then just paint the contours of the child. So it's going to give to this child a really nice shape. It will be a huge difference, and dodging and burning is the most powerful and the most important tool when we're doing actually this kind of retouch on the child faces. It gives really huge impression, so much different, so much nicer. If we will go too far, we can just change to dodge, and just have this. I'm just trying to show you this very well, so I might go too far in some areas. Just trying to show you how does it work. Really nice. Over here on the hands, everywhere when we have this shadows area, just don't be afraid to use burn. As you can see, the face has so much more sense right now. Of course, we can use the black color as well. If we go too far, don't have to fix it on the Dutch layer, so just using this, very simple. As you can see, this child looks so much better. And if we notice some parts that can be better, as you can see, we can simply go back to our low frequency and fix the tones a little bit more. So okay, as you can see, it works really great for this child. It has so much more contrast right now. And if you think it's too strong, one thing you have to do, just change opacity on this layer. I'm going to change down to 80% because it was maybe a bit too strong. And right now, this child has beautiful contour. The face looks much more sharpened and much more cuter. Much cuter. If we want to add some of the shine of the lips, the same method on the Dutch layer, we can paint a little bit on the lips over here, so it will make this really cute. The thing is, when we use curves for dodging and burning, sometimes it's getting too saturated, especially the burn layer. When we paint with dark, it's getting too saturated. So sometimes we can just bring down some saturation, -12, usually between 15 or 20, it's okay. So I take it down, and now I'm going to hit right on this hue saturation and create creepy mask. So this effect will be applied only to the burnt areas, and we don't have to do this with the Dutch layer, so just very simple. Have a look, how does it look like? I'm really happy with the dodging and burning. The most important thing, as I said, we could do a little bit more, but even after a few minutes it looks so much better. So after we did few of these basic steps that are skin retouch, fixing the background, and dodging and burning, which is actually part of the skin retouch, because it helps a lot with the skin, it's time to adjust the main effect of the image. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to use some selective color. I usually use selective color at first, so I can bring up some really nice colors. As you can see, when I work with blues and I bring up some cyans, my background will be even better, and work with this to bring up the result you really want. Maybe a bit more darken we can make, and like this. We don't have reds, we have to find the colors we actually really have. But the one point was I really was caring only about the blue colors, so we can play a little bit with neutral colors, but we're going to affect the child, so not really. So find the background. If you have yellow background, play with yellows. If you have red background, just set up the red colors of this image. I had blue background, so I was working with these colors actually. So I'm done with selective color. Then we can work with levels to bring up some contrast. However, I'm not going to change the colors. I don't really like to change the colors in levels. It's going to look fake. And I'm just giving very natural color. That's the only one thing I'm doing. So it has really nice contrast right now. Curves. I'm going to set up some color with curves. I really like this. Especially this blue channel will work really great with the child. So I'm going to set up this curve like this. As you can see, we add some really nice shine. We can play with red. However, I'm not sure if it's going to work that great. Let's have a look. I wondered, it might be too strong, so I don't want to destroy this image, so I'm going to stay just with this blue. And photo filter. Photo filter, always good. Set up some warm. This kind of orangey color works very great. Just to make this a bit warmer, even if we have this cold background, it's good to warm up this image a little bit. So at the end, there's one secret thing, which is actually not that secret. On the top, at the end, I really love to use gradient map, but that will be a secret what is going to happen next. So at first, let's set the shadows for some kind of blue color, maybe dark blue, and let's keep it gray here. And I'm going to change the blending mode from normal to luminosity and bring down the opacity. So as you can notice, why I really like luminosity, because it works very similar as our color blending mode. It's all our composite blending modes. However, as color affect the all color areas, the luminosity affect the light. So it works really great and it can give us really nice effects. We can try some different gradient maps and you can experiment with this a little bit. As you can see, when I'm going to use gray, it works really even better because it's going to give us this magic, nice, shiny color. However, I'm going to bring down opacity a bit more even, and then it looks really, really great. Maybe I'm going to add a bit more contrast now at the end using levels, but you have to say the effect that gives us luminosity is really great. So that's our final result. Control Command G, and I'm going to call this final adjustment. And the last thing I'm going to create in final adjustments, many people actually like to have vignette. If you don't like vignette, it's okay, you can finish right now. I'm going to give you a very easy tip how you can create vignette. I'm going to use curves and bring down the curve just like this to the level you will be happy. Then I'm going to use this elliptical marquee tool and I'm going to create this ellipse like this, and then we have to press Control Command I to invert this area so we can have really nice vignette. So what I'm going to do now on this layer, just deselect, filter, blur, Gaussian blur, add some strong blur because it has to look natural. So at this point it looks really fantastic for me. And to create even nicer effect, I'm going to create a stamp on the top. Alt, Control Command Shift E. So we created a stamp. And on this layer we can apply hit right and convert to smart object. And right now I'm going to add some really nice blur. So filter, blur, and actually we have to find blur gallery. Okay, and I'm going to use iris blur, which is going to look really fantastic. And as you can see, this is set quite well. I'm going to set the child inside the circle, especially here on the face, and the rest of the image can be a bit blurred, not too much to make this look really natural. And then we can hit OK. And let's have a look how our final result looks like. So I didn't add much blur, as you can see, but it actually gave me really nice effect. As you can see, I really like this blur. So it was a very simple step. We can add a bit more blur, a bit farther than this, so it will look even better, or we can just duplicate this layer and blur this out around the areas. Everything is going to look really nice, and I'm really happy with the result. I believe you are happy as well, and I believe this course, this simple course, actually very quick course, was helpful for you. So let's have a look. I'm going to duplicate my original image. That's the image we started with, and that's where we ended up. I'm really happy about the result, so thank you guys for watching, and I'm going to see you soon in my other tutorials. I believe you're going to check out everything here on skillfit.com, so I'm going to see you soon. Thank you.